got all of our board members are here in case you have questions for us, but John and I will do some of the talking to begin with, because we've been the ones that have been in a lot of the meetings. We're just mostly here to get some input and to give you some input as to where we're at and what's happened. So I know a lot of people ask questions once they found out the bid, what happened with the bid process. I'll kind of start with where everything started. As you know, when everything was going from everyone being their own school district, Summerlin, a lot of discussion came up about the schools, what could happen with the schools, and there was no one really interested in school other than possibly the city, the town for community center. So that's where everything started. We started having negotiations with the school board. We had a lease agreement and a sale agreement brought up late last year. The lease agreement was hopefully going to be something short term, because we were hoping that we'd have the sale agreement in time, and they were just waiting for bid process to happen for the tear down. So everything was contingent on a tear down and us and the heating system getting moved and us taking over this part of the building. As you guys have probably seen, just recently, the bids have all come back much higher than anyone expected. When the original school boards were talking and just kind of getting numbers from people, 200,000 was thrown around, this was thrown around, we're getting numbers that are 400,000. And that doesn't include the moving of the heating system that would have to get moved, so it's well over that amount that they had originally set aside. So because this happened, their building committee and our building committee met for the last 2 Fridays, and if anyone saw the school board meetings, John and I went to them and said, hey, what can we do? What can we do to make this work? And so we've been talking about possibly doing something with the heating system in here, leaving that building for now. We'd end up stuck with the building, possibly having to do something with it sometime. We hadn't made decisions on that. None of the board has talked about that other than in passing to say, what could we do? But we thought, well, let's at least see if they'll fix this heating for us, because if you guys are in here now, you're cold. My hands are cold. It's cold in here. So we went to them with those numbers, and we spent last Friday and the Friday before in them with meetings, and last Friday we came in with some numbers for them so they could look at the numbers. I might as well throw that number out there. We were looking at about $155,000 to kind of work up this heating and do what we need to do for heating. And the school board took those numbers and kind of looked at them. But during that meeting, it was brought to our attention that another party came in, and we're not sure where that's going. So because of that, they're waiting to hear more from that party. We're waiting to hear more from that party. We were hoping to come with better news to this meeting after those 2 meetings, but we don't have it. And part of the reason we had this meeting was when we first found out they weren't going to be able to demo, we didn't know how quickly we were going to get meetings with them, which happened very quickly, much quicker than I thought it would. And we wanted to see where the community stood on you guys still wanting us to try and get control of the building, what you still saw us being able to do with the building, since potentially that building wasn't going to come down. You know, where were you guys headed so we could head in the right direction too, so we knew where to go. So our board wanted to meet with the public just to get an idea where your heads were at, so that, because I think that's it.
Right now, the heating system doesn't work and really no good. I mean, it won't do any good to move it. So what you got is we got a building with no heat.
Here or over there?
Both.
Here, that one is turned off right now completely.
Turn off.
We've just turned it off because it saves us money. Just so you guys know, we pay, with the heating that we're paying to get this heat that we're not getting is about $1,700 for this building, is what it was the last time we did it. It's about $1,700. Okay?
A month.
With that one included, if we included that one, this is not our numbers because we have not had that building on, but numbers that the school gave us when we were initially looking at that, those bills ran anywhere from $3,500 up to $5,500 a month if you put this building and that building. So that was an impossible number as far as we were concerned to do anything with, and with that building being older, that's where, you know, we talked about the building coming down.
We've already moved a different heater into the shop. Right now, Bruce is in the shop.
So he's warm.
Yeah.
We're not, but Bruce
Because
is warm.
there wasn't enough adequate heat. So Bruce moved a heater, and so he does have heat. But he's had a hard time keeping us from freezing. So there really is no heat. And, you know, we don't think that system, if you move, is gonna cost a lot of money. We don't think it'll work. we just don't think it'll work.
We've been told
We've been
Yeah.
told it won't.
The gentleman that came that said he would move it, they quoted to move it, and the gentleman said he would not guarantee it after he moved it. Because he's not sure that all the piping or anything that was put in the building was put in correctly. And unfortunately, they can't go back on anyone, it's just, that's what we were told from the gentleman that was gonna move it, so.
So
We
basically,
have other ideas on the heating, and that's what we brought to the school board, it would be eliminating that old heating system and not worrying about it, so.
So is that the $155,000?
Yeah, it's a good estimate. It's not a system, it'd be separate units. One for what we were looking at is one for the gym, that one alone's about 75,000, heating, air. Different units for the east, we'd have units out here for the kitchen, and we'd have units back there. We were looking at, what are they called, P-TAC units?
Yep.
If any of you are into
We've seen
heating and
those
cooling.
hotel
Single
ones.
hotel ones for those, so that they're all separate, so if something happened to one, so it'd be better off for us in the long run. So, we did have someone come up and price that out, and that comes out about 77,000, so between the two of them, we're up to that 155. So that's what we brought to the school board. Yeah.
Can I ask who you were talking about that you're getting this information from?
The bids from?
Yeah.
I can't remember who got the heating system, cause the school board a member actually brought that to me, and it's out at Elgin.
I don't know that.
I can't remember that one. Jeremy Cleveland is the one that, cause he was here.
But they put the heat in the other one that you say is not working.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
They didn't put the air conditioning. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
It came from a gentleman from Burwell. I mean,
Broken
Broken
Bow.
Bow, excuse me, Broken Bow. No,
No.
it did not.
No. No.
Danny Hughes did the one, then we went from Danny Hughes, then to the gentleman from Broken Bow, and then nothing else.
Yeah.
Another thing is the business room and the two classrooms over there, there's no insulation above,
Yeah.
just,
So we found that out the hard way too. There's no insulation in the roof, so that's why those rooms probably were cold or not staying cold.
so
when they should.
that'll have to be done too, that'll have to be insulated.
Talking about this roof?
No, in the rooms on the east.
The
side of
business
building.
room and the grade school room's right over here,
Oh, the classroom.
Yeah, some of those
classroom.
classrooms don't have.
there's no insulation above.
So, I guess what we're asking from you, I know that's what we were proposing to them. Again, we're not sure where they're at or where we're at after our last meeting. And we weren't even sure we'd get that far with them from the last meeting, so we didn't know we'd have this information to give to you guys. So, I don't know if people have questions, you have suggestions of what can be done with that building not coming down. I guess we're open ears to what you gotta say, so. Hmm?
Okay, so I've been thinking about this. I'm sitting. And I wrote something up. I'm just gonna read it. So I'm here to offer an alternative to save that 1923 building from being demolished. It will save the money for taxpayers of the Orchard District to have it remain standing. And let's look at the history of that brick building. And the building will be 100 years old next year. The first classes were held in the fall of 1923, and the first graduating class was in 1924. This building has withstood time. It's an educational facility that has educated a lot of young minds, and that building can continue to do that into the future, only in a different way. The old girl has a lot of life left in her to give back to the community, and that's coming from me, myself, and Bob. And communities that choose to invest in their old buildings through adaptive reuse oftentimes have a stronger sense of place. Younger generations are moving and returning to our smaller communities that grew up here because they long for that feeling of connection to a place. So some of the ideas that Bob and I came up with were that we work together as a group, a community, and we try to figure a way to work together instead of against each other. And to develop some kind of a nonprofit group to oversee the use of the buildings and grounds. By using that nonprofit group, that group would be able to give back to the community for various improvements. And one example of that would be like having a nonprofit thrift store. And they would, not the first year maybe, but as years to come, it could give back to the ball programs, to different organizations in the community, helping out those people that maybe can't pay their electric bill or heat bill. And another thing would be, to seek those local and area entrepreneurs to locate their dreams of developing a business. An example would be if someone loves to bake, and they don't have that kitchen to bake in, and they could bake in there, wouldn't be me, but, you know, they could maybe bake in there and then sell those goods somehow. You know, and bring a new tax revenue into the area. Or it could be a local artisan, if she's sitting here knitting, that would wanna sell their crafts and products year-round or seasonally. The possibility of a farmer's market. I've heard some other ideas thrown out there. Someone gave me another idea, and I'm not gonna mention it because I don't know if it's true or not. And a gym will be available for use for the alumni. They are still gonna have to have an alumni banquet, and there's nothing big enough to hold that. And there could be other community events, whether it's a wedding or a dance recital or whatever. And it would generate income for the town. Now, the benefits of creating a nonprofit is the burden that would be taken off of you, the village board. It'd be taken off, and the village is still gonna be able to use that building. But if it's nonprofit or a co-op type thing, it's gonna take the burden off of you guys. And this project has to be a community effort to make it a community centerpiece, this for the betterment of Orchard and the surrounding area for the future. And that's Bob's and my opinion.
And that's what we were trying to do, is make this a community building. If we're gonna utilize that whole park, we're gonna have to come up with another $3,000 a month to pay utilities.
Down at Tarnoff, they don't have, it's an old school, it's a old Catholic school in their community building, and they don't heat it, and they don't run air conditioning on it. They tell people if they wanna come in and see their museum and their artifacts, put your coat on, wear shorts, and they can't afford it. I mean, and it's 3 women that are running that show.
I'd like to throw out that if the village doesn't own it, if a nonprofit owns it, if you're looking for any grant funds, they're gonna be limited. We're running into that with the theater down in Neely. It's owned by our nonprofit, so we can't get any of the big grants. There's little tiny ones, but nothing that could tear down a building or put in an AC or heat or anything like that. So that's something that you need to think about, is who owns the building will determine what kind of money you can go after that's not private
I'm
money.
gonna repeat that because not everybody can hear it and I got a loud mouth. He said, depending on who owns it, depends what kind of grant funds you can get. A nonprofit is not eligible for all the bigger funding that someone like the village would be available for. He said he's running into that in Neely when they're doing the community theater, or what is
The theater.
What is it called again?
The New Moon,
The New Moon?
yeah.
New Moon Theater in Neely, they're a nonprofit, and so they're having trouble getting some of that funding, whereas if the city had owned it or something, they might be eligible for more funding, so. But, basically what you've said is what we were trying to do. We were talking about the village, I mean, we've had multiple meetings, I've had meetings, you don't even wanna know the amount of meetings I've had with some other groups and stuff like that about, you know, to use this, we're already renting this gym once in a while. We're already doing that. I already have people in here. I had people in here Sunday. And they were cold, but their kids loved it anyway. They didn't care. They were running all over the building. But we rented it. We have a powerlifting meet coming up. I have someone who's already called me for Easter that wants to rent it. So the word's getting out there that it's available to rent. So we're already doing that. The kitchen we've talked about. I know we've talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it at board meetings because we haven't gotten this far yet. But I know in our small groups we've talked about making sure that's still licensed, so that people can go in there. If you got stuff you wanna jar, you wanna do stuff like that, that's a place you can go into, you can rent it, you can use it, and then you can sell your wares, cause you're in a licensed kitchen. You can't do it out of your kitchen unless you're licensed, if you wanna sell stuff like that. So, some of that stuff that Bev mentioned is stuff we've already talked about doing just without that older building. You know, that's what we were kinda hoping to do.
But we have to have a heat source,
Yeah.
you know, you can't keep it, go ahead, Jim.
So the school board is out on everything as far as the heat source?
No, I'm not gonna say that. We brought those numbers in on Friday. Okay, and when we met with them, right before we met with them, a third party had called, and said they had some ideas and some interests, so until we heard from that party and they heard from that, they felt like they couldn't make a decision on that. till they heard from this other party. They weren't sure if that other party wanted to buy it, what they wanted to do, and they gave us no details on it. They wouldn't give us any details. They said possibly the person would be here tonight and would talk tonight. So, we kind of were left in limbo on Friday as to, we have another meeting this Friday with them. So it's not like we're not still pursuing things. They still took all the paperwork we gave them. They didn't throw it back in my face or nothing. They took it, and I had, each one of them have a copy of it to look at.
What are
So-
they asking for, price of the whole thing?
But that, I can give you that, I'll tell you, our original sale agreement that we had, we were gonna give them, the village had down 30,000, and that was with the tear down, them tearing down the building. So we were gonna offer them 30,000, and that's with the tear down of the building, and so,
What happened to the set aside money? The set aside?
that, I'm not gonna answer any of those questions, because that would be a school board question, so I refuse, I can't answer any of that, I can't say
I
that.
didn't know.
Yeah, all I can say is,
Where it was?
yep, nope, that's, if you wanna ask those, and you'd have to go to the school board meeting and ask them there.
Do you feel that we need to do that?
If you wanna go voice your opinions and tell them, I'm not gonna tell you not to go to a board meeting and say, listen, we need some help here. You know, I'm hoping maybe Friday, something comes of Friday. I mean, I really am. I'm hoping something comes out Friday and something good comes out Friday. But we have a board meeting, I have my phone on me, week from Monday. A week from Monday, so what is that, the 11th?
Week from tonight.
No,
A week from next week, next Monday.
We have a meeting the 11th, and I believe the school board's meeting is on the 12th, if I remember properly. So I,
Town board meeting.
town board meeting's on the 11th, and I believe, if I remember correctly, they scheduled theirs for the 12th.
Yes.
I just would have to go back and verify that, someone might wanna verify.
Yes.
That is?
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting nods of the heads over there that I'm right. Theirs is on the 12th.
Did they accept your bid of 3,000 then?
When we did the purchase agreement, I guess we didn't get into that. We did not sign a purchase agreement, and even if we had, it would have been null and void, because the number they were waiting on was the number to fit in for the bid, and they wouldn't sign it until that bid number got put in. Even if they had put that 400,000 that was set aside bid number in there, it would have been null and void because we went over that number anyway. So even if we had signed it, we would have been back here without a sale agreement anyway, so.
So what
Yep.
happens if we just turn it over, just turn it back over to the school?
That's, again, I can't answer that either. If we don't do
They'll-
anything,
They'll
then
auction it off.
they,
That's
I
what
would,
I was wondering if.
Yeah,
if
no,
you
they'll
think
auction
it's
it off.
done with
I would
it
think so.
all, or if it's-
Yeah, they'll
yeah,
auction.
something hurt.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think
I
we should.
thought from the very beginning, we were the number one choice for where this was gonna go, the town of Orchard. Okay, I don't understand, after the lease and all the money we've put in electrical and everything, how do they bring in a third party now all of a sudden? And we don't, as far as I know, we don't know where we stand right now, do we?
Well, I left that meeting, I left that meeting rather distraught. And I didn't feel like I knew where we stood. So I felt like I left that meeting not knowing.
But didn't we think we were the first choice for where it was gonna go?
That's what it
Yes.
sounded like.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yes.
we went to the meeting figuring we were gonna talk about getting the heating and everything, and then they dropped that on us. And you could see that they didn't, the negotiations were over.
and I'm not saying they were over, they
Not
took our
over,
numbers.
but I mean-
But during that day, that meeting was done that day.
Yeah,
Till they heard from this other party.
Yeah.
So, again,
So why are we getting that? I'm with Kurt. I don't know why we aren't getting first on all of this before they are. Cause
I
they
would-
dropped the ball.
yes.
My assumption would be, if somebody, whoever this person that might talk to them about buying it or whatever they're doing, they could get out of there not costing them a dime.
Yeah.
They sit that money that they put aside to,
Yeah.
yeah.
It kind of probably falls back to where they were like, when we had talked about this originally, I don't remember if anybody ever remembers going to meetings where they're like, if we could give it to you for $1, we would. I don't know if you ever remember hearing that. It got said tons of times. It's not possible. Their attorney was like, absolutely not, it can't happen, because you'll have somebody come back on you and go, you didn't offer me that for $1. You should have auctioned it off or something, and I should have had a shot at it.
you gotta,
That's why we went into meetings and we went into the sale agreement and did this, because then we were offering a price for that building, and there was a price involved in it, and we didn't have to worry about nothing anybody come back.
For fair market value.
For,
Well-
yeah, yeah.
You gotta remember, they sold the one in Clearwater for 50,000. Is it 58,000? So that set a precedent, okay? So,
So what happens, it still makes us look like we're third party now instead of second. Because we had an agreement signed with them and then they turned around.
Nothing was signed.
Technically, there was nothing signed, and even if we did sign that sale agreement, again, it would have been null, because that number that would have been in there, they were over that number, so that sale agreement would have meant nothing. To me, I think there's some, you know, we took that lease on, and part of the reason we took that lease on was because this was gonna happen, you know, we were thinking 2 months. I think originally when we did this, we thought, hey, they already are asking for bids, we're gonna be doing this lease for 2-3 months, and then we're gonna be in this building, and this lease has dragged out now. That's where we're at. Did we want it to happen that way? Did we expect it to happen that way? No. They put out bids the first time, they put them out with asking for the building tear down and the heating at the same time. No one would bid it, because they didn't wanna do both. They put out bids the second time, they only got 1 bid. They went around and talked and tried to find more. So you're talking 3 times they went and tried to get bids. So, and this last set of bids came back higher than the first one.
You couldn't buy
Yeah,
them
Jim.
for that. I didn't get here right when you started. So they have somebody interested in this building site.
I don't know if it was they would give me no details. They just said there was a person who had an idea and it's a win-win from everyone. That's all is that how they said it? It's a win-win for everyone, and that's all they would tell me.
We've never heard that before.
So, that's all I got told.
well,
So,
I think one thing, that we're, in the town, we're trying, well, right there's some pictures of Page and Inman, okay? We do not want that. You know, that was sold and great intentions, but look what happened. I mean, go look at it, it's terrible out there.
So how much money have we put into this building so far?
Kirk, go ahead.
Yeah, I've told you this before, John, I don't know what your meeting's about, I haven't figured that out yet, but I think we should pursue this. Even if they have to spend more money, because the town itself give up our shop, we took the insurance money on it, and Josh can probably tell you what we took, but we'd have to have that money to invest in this already, it should be somewhere that we've got.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we can let it go. I mean, maybe the Bowl will stand for another 100 years or something like that.
and Kurt, I'm there with you, because I'm looking at these pictures, and I hope everybody else is looking at these pictures going, it can't happen. This weekend, I was so upset this weekend over it. I started looking because I got out of my I don't even know, I don't wanna give my age away here. The elementary school I went to, someone went through it in 2018. It is still standing there, and it is a disgusting mess. And they walked through that thing, and there was just junk everywhere. And so, I should have got the link to that video of it. Someone walked through it. Just last year or the year before, not only that, the mayor happened to walk out and smell some smoke, and that thing was almost up in flames. It was actually starting on fire, and they had to go put that fire out and everything. It's a junk building that's still sitting there. It's probably been sitting there 30 plus years, abandoned, and nothing's happened to it. So we didn't want that to happen, but right now, that's where we're at. We might have to let that sit for a while. We might have to look and see if there's possible ways to use it before we can take it down. Just, you know, I know I'm gonna go to this just because I saw it on the internet today, and if
One
you're,
thing is the roof, you know, it won't be very long and the roof will go.
and the other thing is,
And those roofs are expensive to, you know, so they already start leaking now. I mean, who knows, this roof's pretty old, so it could start leaking in a couple of years. And you're gonna have, the other day we were looking at it, with somebody maybe tearing it down, and the wind was 40 miles an hour, it just sounded like a wind tunnel. I couldn't believe how the kids could, I mean,
But I would say if you could give it a couple years before it starts leaking, and say maybe we could get enough money to get it for it, maybe by that time in 2-3 years, maybe the prices would be down, the fuel prices might be down,
that you might have somebody that might be able to come in and tear it down if you have enough money saved up with it.
And I think, I'm not saying that's not a possibility, I'm not saying it's gonna get torn down tomorrow, I'm not gonna say it's gonna get torn down in 3 years, I'm not gonna tell you when it's gonna happen, or if it's gonna happen. At this point, I think personally, and hopefully you guys feel this way, is we gotta hope they'll do this heating so we can get this part working, we'll leave that shut off, and we'll see how long it takes before we can do something with it.
That's what I say, the big picture is we need to get this here
This done.
in town, so
Yep.
we're doing something with this.
And the only reason I brought these tonight is because someone had posted we're having this meeting, and it hasn't come up tonight, so I'm kinda happy, so maybe you guys all get it. But since it was there, and since I know some people are live broadcasting, some people on there were like, just turn that old building into apartments. Iowa, 4.5 million to convert an elementary school into 17 apartments. Okay, 17 apartments. Another one in Iowa. Let's just go through this. They converted 73 apartments. Those apartments are gonna cost someone anywhere from $800 to $1,500 a month to rent. These are in cities where they're doing this. The one in, where was the one that was in Nebraska? Plattsmouth. They're gonna turn this one into apartments in Plattsmouth. $10 million investment. Okay? So when people ask me, why don't you just turn it into apartments? If you've got the check for me, we'll look at doing it. Okay? But that's why. So just wanted that said.
What
so
about
I
the
can
West Point one?
squash that one for
Did
now.
you have the West Point?
The West Point one, that one's another one, somebody's converting it, that gentleman's had it since 2014. That article was from 2018, and he just finally finished one apartment and has somebody in it. So, he's doing it on his own or doing something, but it's taking forever because you've gotta have separate electrical, separate plumbing, you've gotta, you're talking woodwork, you're talking cabinets, you're talking kitchen, you're talking bathroom, fire codes, sprinklers, a lot of stuff that goes.
Because we're gonna have to shut the water off, there'll be no water over there.
Yeah, that's shut off right now,
It's shut off right now, so, I mean, if you,
I think that's fine.
so.
yeah, the water will be shut off, I mean, so if you're talking about using it, there'll be no restrooms, because we will shut the water off.
Renting out rooms for storage.
We honestly, John and I talked about that one day, whether that would be a possibility until we could do something with it, until we decided what to do, it would be cold storage.
Lot of
We
steps.
talked about whether that would be a possibility
Lot of
to do
steps.
that until something happened, with it, and we could do that, and maybe it would help get some funds in a fund to potentially, if it has to get torn down.
So basically, you don't know anything until you find out who this other third party is, and if they've overshot your bid.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's what it
Are you willing
is.
to go up on that bid if you have to?
I think, I know Kurt's sitting there.
Right,
Let's sit
that's
there.
what I was wondering, so will the school get you and this people, person, whatever, or how are you going to know? When
We have another meeting on Friday, so,
And is this other,
I don't know.
okay.
I wish I knew more.
So-
I wish I could tell you more.
A lot of work has been put into trying to get this to happen, and as we're just sitting in limbo, there needs to be, openness. I think that people need to know. I mean, say I wanted to buy one, then I should come up and say, hey, I'd like to put it in on our school, you know, I mean, everyone should know upfront what they're gonna, so the decision can be made, because you can't let this go on for.
Yeah.
And especially if you're working together. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's somebody who wants to work together, then speak up, because that way you're gonna know that you can work together in harmony.
Yeah.
I kind of blame the school board at this point. I don't know why they couldn't have been more open to you guys as that committee. They should have been more open to you guys. You guys have been working, our village is, they should be happy. Our
From the
village is
start.
taking this off of their hands. So they should have been more open to you guys and said, okay, this is who we have. Not that you had to come right away and tell us, but we as town people or taxpayers, we have the right to know that kind of thing. And I think the school board is kind of not letting us know. They're leaving us in limbo. And it's not good for you guys either, for the work you guys have done.
I'm just hoping, we were hoping to get out of here, if you guys are on the same page with us, we're hoping we can go back Friday and we can say, listen, we still want this heating done, don't worry about that building. And I think most people here are nodding their head, don't worry about that building, let's get this heating done, let's get this done. And if that's where we're at, that's where we're gonna go fight for it.
Do you have a-
John and I will go in there and fight for it.
Do you have a dollar amount that you're willing to go up to?
That, we kinda have to discuss that, we haven't really discussed that.
Well, what have we got invested here already? You gotta be pushing 10,000.
Yeah, I'm sure by the time you put in we changed, I don't know if anybody saw, we got nice new locks out there, we punch in a code and I can get in, it's so much easier. Bruce did some stuff in the shop and then utilities, and we have had some rent come back in, but not a ton.
If we lose the buildings, do we lose the shop then too?
If we were to lose this building, unless whoever got this building was willing to let him work in the shop, I don't know.
Well, they could take it too.
They could take it too, so then we'd be looking at,
But I think the village, we're gonna wanna remain control, like with the shop and stuff. So, I mean, we're not, when you say you wanna work with somebody, I think that you gotta have I think the village, I don't think, I think we want the shop by ourselves, I mean, we wanna have control of the shop.
You would fight for that, no matter what.
Yeah.
I think the way we're talking right now, Kurt said it, we're willing to fight right now
Right now
for
for the whole thing.
this
For the whole thing.
this whole thing.
I think we're all in on it.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Well, I think someone might buy the land and they'll have who knows what's out there in the middle of
Yeah.
the football field, cause
Yep.
that goes with the school.
Is there no insulation in all the rest of the building?
Oh, there is,
no,
just those,
just those rooms over there.
Plastic.
We just happened to go in there, so John happened to go in there to peel some stuff
Oh, yeah.
back.
Bruce
We
did.
went, no wonder they're cold.
Insulation in, right?
Yeah, so,
What happens when they put this new $1 million system that don't work for shit? When they put that in, they move that insulation and everything.
Is that what?
strike that.
so we'll have to spend money doing that too, okay?
That's kind of minimal, though.
So, do you know, did the school board mention to you if that person came in with a dollar amount?
I don't know.
We don't know anything.
Wow,
I mean, we don't know anything
I
about that.
literally can say, they told me someone called them and they said it was a half an hour before our meeting even, so it was last minute for them too. So they kinda got the info half an hour before we walked in the meeting, and I think that's probably, they might have been talking while we were waiting there to go in. And they just said, listen, this other person's got ideas and it might be something that helps everybody, and that's what we got from them. So they were just kinda like, that person will probably be at the meeting Monday, they'll talk to you Monday, and then, but they scheduled another meeting with us, so they didn't say we're not meeting again, they
So is that
scheduled
person
another
here
meeting with us.
tonight? Guys, I say, so is that person here? Raise your hand, who are you?
Let the record show it's Becky.
Talk about, like, maybe start discussing,
What's that?
start discussing if this person is here.
Especially if you say it's a win-win, then obviously it's a win for all of us.
Yeah.
But my question then is, okay,
Yeah, it's me.
This could be drug on forever.
Well, I'm hoping we go in Friday, and I'm hoping we go in Friday, and maybe they find out, if that person's not willing, maybe they decide, hey, what they're doing is good, and they don't.
Well, we just need to wait until Friday and see if we got a fight or
That's
something.
where I'm at, I don't know,
So
we're all saying we're gonna fight for it, we want this to happen, the
Right.
community, I can see all your heads nodding, we all want it to happen.
So-
So that's what we're gonna go in like, we're gonna go in and say, we want this to happen, what do we gotta do to make this happen?
I feel like maybe at this point, we need to maybe steer that conversation a little bit more, say this is what we have to offer. Come up with a dollar amount, come up with, if $30,000 is the best offer the community can come up with, that's probably not going to be the winning bid.
Well,
So if
until
you've
I get
already
a,
put 10 in,
It
you're
wasn't
out.
supposed to be a bidding process.
No.
no,
No, it hasn't.
Right.
yeah,
We've already bought this
But
place
in-
once.
But
yeah.
No. No, I think, no.
I
I mean-
think just hold your ground and just say this is what we want. When we came to this deal, they had told us they're going to work with the communities to get along. Well, right now, it ain't looking that good right
No.
now, and so they need to stand by their word and do that. They've already spent our $400,000.
Say you won it, we offered them 30,000 to begin with or whatever, in the agreement, help us fix the heating, not fix the heating, but put that new heating in that you guys were just talking about, and call it a deal.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. The way I tried to look at it when we walked in the meeting, I think John did too, is I went, listen, originally you were looking at dropping a building for $400,000. I'm asking you to put in a heating system
Yeah.
for $150,000, $155,000, $160,000. You're saving $240,000.
Yes, well, and that was money that Orchard had
set aside.
Yeah,
That's already going.
They know where we stand, it hasn't been, I
We've
mean,
been
I'm
pretty-
the one that's been very vocal in that meeting, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, that's good.
you know, we go in there to fight, we go in there to say, listen, something's gotta happen. I mean, this threw us for a loop when this whole building thing came up so high, but we immediately regrouped. Kinda had some private conversations, you know, kinda tried to figure out where to go, and we immediately regrouped and said, let's get the heating fixed, so we're trying.
Beck's got a question.
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, say what if you go out there Friday to that meeting and all of a sudden there's another person that comes up with, well, I'm interested in the building now.
Well, then you know what, you guys better all show up to the board meeting on the 12th. I'll tell them to have the gyms ready.
That's not a bad idea.
I mean, it's the same thing. How many years has this sat there and nobody said a word, and now we get down to the end and all of a sudden somebody's interested.
Well, I'm hoping maybe if someone is listening to this and watching this, they're looking at this going, I'm not sure it's a good deal for me to get it anyway, because I'm not gonna buy it for 40 grand. If I'm gonna use this thing, I gotta stick another $150-some thousand into
And
it.
that's just this side.
That's just this side, you know, if they were really gonna use it, so, I don't know, I'm hopeful that it's
Well,
still
how do you
sitting
know
on our
this
lap.
just isn't a bluff, I mean?
Yeah.
We've been bluffed so
Yeah.
this whole deal.
I don't know,
Yeah, so.
what do you want from us? Do you want a vote?
I don't, all we
No,
wanted,
no.
I think I got enough head nods to know that you guys are in this with us, you guys want this to
I
happen
vote
for
that
the
you go
community.
the way you're going.
And get this heating done so we can get this used. With that comes this property over here, that means we got the ball fields, you know, we got some extra fields over there, the playground over here. And quite honestly, if someone else took it on, you got a liability for those playgrounds. With the village, we have liability already in place for playgrounds. Someone else who gets it, you're gonna have a whole set of liability you gotta deal with those playgrounds.
Now, what does this come across?
Yeah.
I call it Ruby Miller's property over there.
Over across the street, that's another thing we're discussing with them. Originally, that was not part of it, but that's a discussion we're having.
You know,
so.
it needs to be, because otherwise, if that remains school property, then they can throw the drug-free, alcohol-free, whatever the distance is, and there go your
Oh, I will bring that up. I didn't even
dances and
think
everything
about that,
else
them
we
being
wanna add in
there.
here.
We try to iterate them, these small towns, the district needs to, you know, we want these small towns to be good, we can't just have
Yeah.
stuff fall down. I mean,
But
why would
thanks for
anybody
that,
wanna
Kurt,
move?
because we've been talking about getting that. Our last meeting, we actually talked about getting that lot with this, so,
It has to go with
Yeah.
it.
It's very well said.
okay.
Does the board know that you want to, that we want to bring the Julian's preschool up here and serve all
Yes,
three?
we have talked about the board, multiple times I've told you there is someone with a daycare that wants to come in. And we've told them, I know there's at least one, you guys needed one room, I don't know if you were gonna need 2 rooms, for that, so we have talked about that, and we were, honestly, every time I've talked to her, I said, I'm really hoping by August we can have you in there, you know? I've been pushing, cause she wants to be in there, we can get a room ready for her, hopefully we got some heat, and, we can get a room ready, but that's one. And, you know, there's been other people, Alumni Association has already asked us potentially to rent some sort of room. They contacted me multiple times about maybe once everything's set, them being able to rent a room, put all the old trophies and old stuff in. They would rent it monthly so that people could be in there.
Band room.
The band room, we have potential for the band room, someone's asked about the band room before. We've had a business that's asked about potentially having a office space somewhere in here. I'm not sure how big they would need. The gym, we can rent the gym out. We've already had volleyball up this year. We didn't have basketball, but I know volleyball was up here this year. We've had multiple parties in here this year. We got the AAU, is it AAU powerlifting?
Yeah, 2
meet
weeks.
Coming up in 2 weeks, that's gonna be in here. You know, there's tons of potential for it in here. You know, we've talked about other things, at least I brought it up at board meetings, or even, we have a small committee that's been meeting, me and some other people from some other groups in the community, talked about whether, again, running that kitchen, whether we could get someone to come in here and do cooking classes in here, whether, cause there might be grants out there to help us fund some of this if we can get some educational stuff going in one of the rooms. So we're trying to find different possibilities to help fund this. So we are looking, we just have to get this part done. so we can keep going.
Tom,
What are you
put
doing
these
about janitor? I mean, who's cleaning the toilets and?
Right now, it's just,
I know.
I'm gonna be honest, I come up when I know it's getting rented and I take trash out and I make sure there's garbage bags and I make sure it's unlocked and I make sure it gets locked and so I'm having fun right now. But I have taken out trash for them, they've taken out trash, I bought a broom and some cleaning supplies so they can sweep up and do all that. Most of the people that are in the gym know where the mops are and not the mops, but the gym broom.
Yeah, that's
So
put a
they use gym
deposit
broom.
down. You know,
So.
right, you're making them put a deposit, right?
But they pay, you know, to get in, but I've been coming up just to do stuff, but that is a potential, if we get this, that's a potential job for somebody in town. You know, that's a potential job, whether it's someone that gets hired to do, I don't know if it's just the cleaning, if they do cleaning and they're our go-to person for, you know, we say, hey, you're cleaning and you're scheduling, you know, but there's a job in town too, so. And who knows, if more stuff happens in here, maybe there's potential for other stuff. Who knows if we can get someone to come in and do, I don't know, exercise classes for people, if we can, who knows? There's a ton of possibility in it once you get it going.
Well, I think it's important to remind, you know, I'm not running on a school board or anything, but I think it's important to remind them that, you know, when that school was built out there, between all three communities, we talked about each one of our communities, we did not want to see them suffer. So I think this is part of helping, like, and I know that you reiterated that, but you know, if they hear their people say, this is a way that you can help us, we're not asking for the moon, like you said.
Yeah.
You're willing to go back, so I think it's important that they have to remember that, and that's what you're trying to do, to keep something in our community that's still viable.
Yep.
And so it doesn't get run down.
Yep. I think we're all on the same page, unless someone's got another. So, most people are nodding their head yes, so we're gonna, I think, right now, judging by what our board members have said and what, you know, we've talked about, we're gonna go back Friday and we're gonna push to get this heating done. We'll deal with that building when we gotta deal with it. We're gonna push to get the heating done. We're gonna push to have, and we'll just see where this other party lays when we get there, but we'll push to get it done. And if we gotta talk about a different number, we'll talk about a different number when that time comes.
So the school board meeting is April 12th?
It is April 12th, and if we have more info before then, I guess you might find it out at our meeting, if we know more by our meeting on April 11th. But, what's that?
Everybody.
Anybody. Yep, anybody. No, anyone can attend, yep.
No, it's usually once in a while, there's a special one. But usually it's either.
Well,
Yeah,
Steph,
there
even
would
like
be
what Bev was
USDA
saying, you know, why
grants.
couldn't we, I mean, like she says,
And
couldn't you still
right,
have like a
there's nothing
sunrise
business
sunset
owners,
store over
so,
there, even, does it have to have heat in it, you know, just open it during the summertime or in the nice hours.
The only thing
or
we'd
whatever.
have to look at there, if you're putting, if it's a store and people are going in and out, I don't know if there's any regulations on that, that's all we'd have to look at.
Because they had it in Ewing's old lumber yard
Yeah.
over there and I mean, that wasn't,
I don't know if anything's handicap accessible in that old building.
yeah,
They don't maybe-
The only thing handicap accessible over there would be the lift to get up there, up to the second floor.
I don't know what I'm not gonna guarantee, I'm not saying it can't be done,
well,
but,
I'm just saying, it's, you know, it's a good idea, that would give people way to give their, you know, one man's
Yeah.
junk is another man's treasure.
yeah.
I just think, on the line of that, I just think it'd be nice if, rather than to go in a big case of tearing that building down, let's give it a break and breathe and say,
Yes.
see what possibilities could be in a couple years instead of just hastily tearing it down.
Oh, there's no way we're gonna tear it down.
I know that, but I just,
20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
even the board, you know, the school board, when they were gonna tear it down, I kept thinking, why, you know?
I think a lot of the reason came from when we initially had these meetings and those numbers came out. And we were like, how in the world can we do $5,000, $6,000 a month on this heating and stuff in it?
But was that occupied?
What's that?
Aren't those prices occupied though? I mean, like, students rent.
Well, yes.
So that's not empty.
No, but
Yeah,
we have it turned off
if-
now. I mean, we have it turned
Yeah,
off
I know.
now.
I'm just saying the utilities you're going by is being occupied by
Yeah.
when it was a school.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd shut the heat on, you could still put little, I mean, say if they want, I'm just thinking of the.
Electric
little-
heaters.
Yeah, you could put little heaters in there to keep them warm if they needed to be, and shut them off when
Think
they
you'd
leave,
have
it's
to-
not like you're gonna have water, if you had
Fire
water,
code.
they had to go to the bathroom, they could come back down here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, it would be a possibility to I mean, I'm telling you, look at those stores around, Verdigris has one, Ewing has one, Neely has, not Neely
And
has.
is that school completely isolated from here? Is there doors to shut?
All the doors, they're fire doors, so those are all shut right now. Those are
Okay, so
shut.
heating from here can't get over there anyway.
No, they're fire doors and nothing's getting, trust me, it's colder over there than it is over here. We were in there last week.
So what happens to the bricks?
Here, it could work for something that way, but I wouldn't put a dime in that old building.
Yeah.
It's not in very good shape.
It's not in very good shape. Basement, down the gym, that old basement area, clear off to the, looks like it's crumbling.
How much faster does that crumble without heat and air conditioning? Like, when does that building become a risk?
Well, look at some of these buildings down on Main Street, how long have they stood there without anything and they're still standing? They look like crap, but they're still standing.
Touche.
We could flood the basement over there and make it an indoor YMCA.
Just don't cut yourself for semester.
And again, you know, people said, are you gonna tear? There's no intention, I don't think anyone from our board has said, now that we know that's not coming down from the school board, that that's coming down tomorrow.
Yeah.
The only thing we did is we did have somebody else come in, just so we could look at it and tell us, you know, what are the demo issues in here? And John and I learned a lot and kinda, you know, learned about why it was costing so much and what the stuff is in there and what's worth anything and what's not worth anything. So it was just nice to see some of that and understand some of that. So we did have a gentleman come up and look.
Well, the expense is probably the transporting it somewhere.
That and, the problem is,
Right.
it's not all, a lot of it's wood.
Lot of wood.
Well, yeah,
Asbestos.
right.
Yeah. So,
Is there asbestos?
No,
No.
that was all taken out.
no.
Burn it out.
You guys can train them
I knew you
there
were
forever.
next train next business.
Josh said.
About what?
Anything's left in here. So they're thinking that eventually saw it off.
Originally, they said they were gonna have an auction. I'm gonna make you ask them but I know at one of their meetings, they said they would have an auction. But I don't know anything more than that, so.
You know, with trying to build a community center like the Young Men's has been wanting to do for so long in our community, needing something, you know, everything costs. And in order to have something like this, can you imagine what we have in the kitchen already and what it would cost in a new building with that would cost a lot of money. And in order to have something already built that you can makeshift and do lots of different things in it is really exciting, I think, that you can turn it into something that the whole community can use so many different ways and not only other ways, and not have to spend the money on another building that would cost us a lot.
And that kitchen, one part of our thing with our agreement was that the kitchen equipment would stay. That's one of the things, we did a walkthrough as to what we wanted, and we just basically told them the kitchen stuff has. So, that was, even if they have an auction, that we've already asked them.
Are tables and chairs still here?
There are tables and chairs
But
here.
not a lot.
Like for the banquet?
But, well,
I didn't see those.
we actually, the Young Men's Club was donating money for us to get tables and chairs. And, we haven't bought those yet, but we were going to, and then this happened and it kind of freaked me out, so I didn't, but the Young Men's Club has already donated money to buy those chairs, since that money they had for, a community center, it will go to the community center, so eventually they will help clean up and do some different things and buy some things that we would need. I know, like, the women's volleyball came in here and they were using it, they didn't have volleyball standards, we had to borrow them, the school let us borrow volleyball standards. So, so they're borrowing those, so those we would need. We don't have any, you know, if we were gonna let the youth do up here and do stuff, maybe the Young Men's Club would donate some basketballs or dodgeballs or something like that, so there's stuff up here. So the Young Men's Club is willing to help get stuff going if this is a community club, or community.
You know, I'm not sure this is a town deal or not, but to me, what we need is some organization to be the driving force for like fundraisers. I mean, all these small communities buy new ambulances and stuff because of fundraisers and stuff like that. Shoot, all we gotta do is raise enough money to put a heating system in here. It should be simple with the whole dang town working for it.
Yeah.
Just gotta have someone organize it, do it.
Good job.
Cause we don't know, they may not do they may not give us any money.
I know, that's what I say, I think we gotta be prepared to just take what they give us and do it. I mean,
Okay.
if we have to do it on our own, I mean, I don't think they're gonna give us anything.
Well, we're gonna try on Friday.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna try on Friday, and if they don't, it's good to hear you guys say that. We'll go. We're gonna do what we gotta do.
Do we have any legality?
No.
None.
Cause that'd be a bad part to broadcast.
Earmarked for this, and it's gone, and we're just out.
They told us in good faith that
We knew that was gonna happen.
Yep.
Now, I'm gonna send out invitations for the alumni banquet, I better not do that.
No, you can be, this will be a thing.
We still have a lease on it.
We're paying the heat. You're welcome.
And part of the reason, I would know I was asked, like, there's certain restrictions on your banquet, no alcohol and stuff, because we don't own it, the school still owns it, but other than that, yeah. We still have the lease on it, so,
I'm just wondering if we can still have it.
Yeah, no.
yeah.
Okay.
That'll have to be checked out. I don't know how much stuff they
We're
move.
gonna be okay, I'm gonna try and get those tables and chairs ordered.
Well, we used to get tables and chairs from churches and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there are tables and chairs around here, unless they somehow get an auction organized in the next month, which I doubt, or 2 months, which I doubt will happen. There's tables and chairs all over the place, and we can probably find some more for
I'm
you.
just worried about building, that's
Yeah.
my problem.
No, I think you're good.
You may not have
I
any air
even have you in
conditioning.
I think I already have you on the calendar, by the way, so.
Well, it's May 28th, hopefully
Yeah.
it'll be warm by then.
I don't know if we have anything else. We will, when we know more, we'll let you guys know more. I don't know if it'll be before our meeting, April meeting, or after our April meeting, or during our April meeting, or, but good to know where everybody stands.
Thank you.
You aren't gonna know